Mr. Bean, the legendary character famous for his exaggerated expressions and outrageous physical comedy, has entertained audiences for decades. His humor doesn't rely on dialogue. Instead, it crosses language barriers effortlessly, making people laugh all over the world through silent chaos and visual brilliance. But have you ever wondered what truly lies behind this mysterious, childlike character? What inspired his unusual comedic style? And is there more to Mr. Bean than meets the eye? Stay with us as we explore the fascinating story behind one of the most beloved comedy icons ever created. The origins of Mr. Bean's genius trace back to Rowan Atkinson's time at Oxford University. While studying for a master's degree in electrical engineering, Atkinson unexpectedly discovered a passion for performing comedy. During the early 1980s, an early version of Mr. Bean appeared in a sketch at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, though the character was still evolving. Even earlier, in 1979, Atkinson portrayed a somewhat similar figure named Robert Box in a sitcom. That character shared certain awkward traits and comedic elements that hinted at what Mr. Bean would eventually become. But it wasn't until 1987 at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal that Mr. Bean truly began to find his identity. In a bold move, Atkinson requested to perform on the French-speaking lineup. Despite not speaking French himself, his goal was simple: to test whether pure physical comedy could make audiences laugh without words. The result? A huge success. The overwhelmingly positive reaction from non-English-speaking viewers confirmed that Mr. Bean's humor was universal. Interestingly, Mr. Bean wasn't the original name considered for the character. At first, Atkinson thought about calling him Mr. White, but the name lacked personality, and it may have later been confused with the character from Reservoir Dogs. He also briefly considered Mr. Cauliflower, which certainly sounded unique, but didn't quite capture the simplicity he was looking for. Eventually, inspiration struck. Mr. Bean was perfect: short, quirky, memorable, and delightfully absurd. Mr. Bean didn't emerge in isolation. The character draws from a rich tradition of physical comedy. One major inspiration was French comic legend Jacques Tati, and his character, Monsieur Hulot, a silent, awkward figure who appeared in films from 1949 to 1974. Like Mr. Bean, Hulot often found himself trapped in uncomfortable social situations, relying heavily on visual gags instead of dialogue. Rowan Atkinson has openly acknowledged this influence. In interviews, he explained how watching Monsieur Hulot's holiday as a teenager deeply inspired him. He became fascinated by the idea that comedy could be universally understood without words, a concept that would define Mr. Bean. Other inspirations included Peter Sellers' iconic portrayals, such as Rundi Bakshi in The Party and Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther films. These characters, socially clumsy, unintentionally chaotic, and hilariously out of place, share a comedic lineage with Mr. Bean. What began as a university experiment in silent comedy soon transformed into a global phenomenon. But beyond the character lies the man himself. Rowan Atkinson's performance as Mr. Bean is a masterclass in physical comedy. His elastic facial expressions, precise timing, and exaggerated movements bring the character to life in a way few actors could replicate. And there's a delightful absurdity hidden within the character's identity. While most people assume Bean is simply his surname, careful viewers noticed something unusual in the 1997 film. Mr. Bean's passport lists his first name as Mr. Yes, his full name is technically Mr. Bean. That ridiculous detail perfectly fits the surreal world he inhabits, a place where normal rules simply don't apply. Mr. Bean is childish, impulsive, and often illogical, yet he's also strangely resourceful, always finding bizarre but effective solutions to everyday problems. His signature brown tweed jacket, short red tie, and trusty digital calculator watch have become iconic symbols of his character. He may appear foolish on the surface, but beneath that awkward exterior lies one of the most brilliantly crafted comedic creations in television history. But there's far more to Mr. Bean than his tweed jacket and awkward mishaps. He lives in a modest flat at 12 Arbor Road in Highbury, a small, unassuming space that perfectly mirrors his eccentric personality. His apartment frequently becomes the stage for his most outrageous disasters and brilliantly improvised solutions. Mr. Bean appears to be completely alone in the world. There is no mention of family, no close circle of friends, just him and his beloved Teddy. That isolation only deepens his mysterious presence. One of his most defining traits is his near-total silence. He rarely speaks, and when he does, it's usually a few low-pitched, mumbled words. He never clearly reveals his first name, simply introducing himself as Bean. Even his job remains uncertain, though in the first film he is seen working as a security guard at the National Gallery. What truly makes Mr. Bean hilarious is his baffling inability to understand the most basic parts of everyday life. Simple activities, going swimming, watching television, attending church, become epic struggles. Yet, instead of admitting defeat, he invents wildly absurd solutions. Ignoring social rules entirely, he will do whatever it takes to succeed, no matter how much chaos he leaves behind. The show's opening sequence offers a surreal clue about his identity. In a dramatic beam of light, Mr. Bean descends from the sky while a heavenly choir sings overhead. It's not just a quirky intro, it almost suggests an extraterrestrial arrival. This strange origin sets the tone for everything that follows. From the moment he lands on Earth, Mr. Bean behaves like someone unfamiliar with human customs. He navigates life through trial and error, approaching even the simplest tasks, brushing his teeth or cooking dinner, with childlike curiosity and complete disregard for conventional methods. Interestingly, his residence seems to change throughout the series. Different episodes feature different apartments, hinting that he never stays in one place for long. Is he wandering, hiding, searching for somewhere he truly belongs? And then there's the question of money. With no clear career path, how does he afford his lifestyle? Some fans speculate that he simply helps himself to whatever he needs during his temporary stays, a theory that matches his carefree attitude toward rules and authority. Even his romantic life remains puzzling. His on-again, off-again girlfriend often seems confused by his behavior. Their relationship eventually collapses when he fails to understand her desire for commitment and marriage. Was this heartbreak a turning point, or was Mr. Bean always detached from normal emotional expectations? The animated episode Double Trouble pushes the alien theory even further. In that story, Mr. Bean is abducted by aliens who look almost exactly like him, wearing similar tweed jackets and displaying identical awkward mannerisms. They even own plush toys resembling Teddy. For many fans, this episode strengthens the long-standing belief that Mr. Bean might not be entirely human. His innocence, illogical behavior, and strange social misunderstandings suddenly make more sense under that interpretation. Whether the alien theory is true or simply playful storytelling, one thing is undeniable. Mr. Bean operates in a world slightly removed from our own. Behind this silent chaos stands the extraordinary talent of Rowan Atkinson. His confidence in facial expression over dialogue is no accident. While studying at Oxford, Atkinson refined the exaggerated expressions that would later define Mr. Bean. He understood the power of visual storytelling and embraced nonverbal comedy as his strongest weapon. In fact, Mr. Bean's unusual speaking style has deeper roots. As a child, Rowan Atkinson struggled with a severe stutter, a challenge that could have limited his acting career, but instead of allowing it to hold him back, he discovered that performing became a kind of therapy. Through exaggerated characters and controlled speech patterns, he found confidence. Mr. Bean's minimal dialogue wasn't just a creative choice, it was also a personal triumph. And perhaps that's what makes the character so powerful. Behind the clumsy chaos lies resilience. Behind the silence lies strength. And behind the laughter lies a story far more meaningful than we ever imagined. Through acting, Rowan Atkinson discovered something life-changing. Performance gave him a way to manage his stutter, a space where he could speak freely without fear. On stage, the pressure disappeared. The words flowed. Acting became both expression and therapy. That deeply personal struggle directly shaped Mr. Bean's distinctive way of speaking. The character's hesitant mumbling, unusual pauses, and odd pronunciation are not random comedic choices. They're subtle reflections of Atkinson's own childhood challenges. In fact, the letter B was particularly difficult for him growing up. That's why Mr. Bean pronounces his own name in such a peculiar, drawn-out way. This vocal quirk even appeared in another famous Atkinson role, Edmund Blackadder, where he exaggerated the name Bob for comic effect. The voice of Mr. Bean didn't appear overnight. It first surfaced in an earlier sketch titled The Man Who Likes Toilets, performed on the groundbreaking BBC comedy show Not the 9 O'Clock News, which aired from 1979 to 1982. The show launched the careers of several British comedy stars, including Rowan Atkinson alongside Mel Smith, Griff Rhys-Jones, and Pamela Stephenson. In that sketch, Atkinson experimented with the same vocal tone and awkward physical mannerisms that would later define Mr. Bean. Audiences responded immediately. Even then, the foundations of something iconic were clearly forming. Atkinson once described Mr. Bean as a child trapped in a grown man's body. He also saw him as a quiet anarchist, someone who instinctively rejects society's rules and expectations. That rebellious spirit, combined with his self-absorbed innocence, creates a powerful comedic formula. Mr. Bean doesn't need clever dialogue or witty banter. His behavior alone generates chaos and laughter. One of his most amusing physical traits is his ability to wiggle his ears. Surprisingly, this isn't camera magic. Rowan Atkinson can actually do it in real life. Just another example of his extraordinary physical control. Although Mr. Bean mostly exists in a solitary world, a few recurring characters briefly step into his orbit. One of them is Irma Gobb, his long-suffering girlfriend, played by Matilda Ziegler. Irma appears in 3 episodes, patiently enduring Mr. Bean's selfishness and emotional cluelessness. In The Curse of Mr. Bean and Mr. Bean Goes to Town, she's simply credited as the girlfriend, emphasizing how secondary she is in his chaotic universe. Despite his awkward nature, Mr. Bean does show flashes of affection. In Mr. Bean Goes to Town, he becomes visibly jealous when Irma dances with another man, revealing a surprisingly possessive streak. But the most heartbreaking moment comes in Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. Irma clearly expects a marriage proposal. Instead, Mr. Bean proudly presents her with a model ship. Completely oblivious to her expectations, he misses the emotional cue entirely. That misunderstanding ends their relationship, leaving Mr. Bean alone once again. Yet Irma later returns in the animated series, hinting that their connection might never be fully severed. In the companion book, Mr. Bean's Diary, readers discover she works as a librarian, a fitting profession for someone so quiet, patient, and composed. And then, of course, there is Teddy. To the outside world, Teddy is just a worn little stuffed bear. But to Mr. Bean, Teddy is everything. Best friend, confidant, emotional anchor. Teddy has endured countless misadventures. He's been decapitated, used as a paintbrush, entered into competitions, and dragged into some of Mr. Bean's most ridiculous schemes. Yet no matter what happened, Teddy remains loyal. Mr. Bean treats him as if he were alive, buying him Christmas gifts, tucking him into bed, trying not to wake him in the morning. In one episode, he even attempts to hypnotize him. Over time, Teddy's design subtly changed. In early episodes, his head was smaller. Later, he appeared with button eyes and sausage-shaped limbs. The version most fans recognize today. After the original series concluded, Rowan Atkinson donated the original Teddy to Giles Brandreth's Teddy Bear Museum, where it became a treasured exhibit, a quiet reminder of one of television's most beloved partnerships. behind the silent, behind the absurdity, behind the childish chaos, there is vulnerability, creativity, and resilience. Mr. Bean may rarely speak, but through Rowan Atkinson's journey, he says more than words ever could. When the museum shut its doors in 2008, Teddy was placed up for auction and sold for £1,880, proof that even a small, worn stuffed bear could carry enormous sentimental value. It wasn't just a prop, it was a symbol of one of television's most beloved characters. But Teddy isn't the only object tied to Mr. Bean's identity. His lime green Mini Cooper, complete with its matte black bonnet, is just as iconic. That tiny car became the setting for some of the show's most unforgettable moments, from Mr. Bean changing clothes inside it to driving with an armchair strapped precariously to the roof. The Mini wasn't just transportation, it was part of the comedy. In one episode, he even attempts to avoid paying for parking by exiting through the entrance gate. Only Mr. Bean would see that as a logical solution. The very first Mini used in the pilot episode was an orange 1969 BMC Morris Mini 1000 Mark I. Sadly, it was later destroyed in an off-screen accident. As the series continued, Mr. Bean upgraded to a 1977 British Leyland Mini 1000 Mark IV. Instead of using the proper door lock, he famously secured it with a padlock and bolt latch, a running gag that often left him struggling to unlock his own vehicle or remember where he parked it. In Back to School, Mr. Bean the Mini meets a dramatic fate when it's crushed by a tank during a school demonstration. Yet, in true sitcom fashion, it mysteriously reappears in later episodes as if nothing ever happened. Several Minis were used during filming, with parts swapped between vehicles to maintain continuity. After production ended, one of the original cars was sold and displayed in museums, while another underwent restoration. Replicas were also created for promotional tours and exhibitions. The Mini even returned to the big screen in Mr. Bean's Holiday, this time painted bright yellow. The film also introduced a second Mini driven by Mr. Bean's travel companion. The animated series continued featuring the beloved car, cementing its place as a permanent fixture in Mr. Bean's world. Considering Mr. Bean's worldwide fame, many people assume the original series ran for years. Surprisingly, only 14 episodes were ever produced, totaling less than 6 hours of screen time. Yet, within that limited run, the show reached over 245 territories worldwide. Its episodes were released sporadically, building anticipation and turning each new installment into an event. The success didn't stop there. The 1997 film Bean became a massive box office hit, earning more than $250 million globally against an $18 million budget. In an extraordinary milestone, it surpassed $100 million worldwide before even opening in the United States, a rare achievement that highlighted Mr. Bean's international appeal. His silent, physical comedy placed him in the same tradition as legendary figures like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, performers whose humor transcended language. In Mr. Bean's Holiday, sharp-eyed viewers might notice a charming cameo. Rowan Atkinson's real-life daughter, Lily Atkinson, appears briefly in the film, a subtle and personal touch in the character's later journey. In 2011, Rowan Atkinson officially announced that he would retire the live-action version of Mr. Bean. In an interview with BBC Newsbeat, he explained that he wanted to preserve the character's timeless, childlike image. Continuing to portray him as he aged, he feared, would slowly erode the magic. Still, Mr. Bean never truly disappeared. Although no new live-action episodes have been produced since 2009, the character has appeared in commercial, talk shows, and memorably during the 2012 London Olympic Games opening ceremony. Atkinson has also continued voicing Mr. Bean in the animated series, keeping the spirit of the character alive. Financially, Mr. Bean transformed Atkinson's life. Through royalties, film success, merchandise, and licensing deals, the character contributed to an estimated $150 million fortune. Decades after his debut, Mr. Bean continues generating income and smiles. There have even been rumors of a potential animated Mr. Bean feature film, reportedly involving longtime collaborator Richard Curtis. While the live-action character may be retired, the creative possibilities remain wide open. From a university sketch experiment to a global cultural phenomenon, Mr. Bean's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. With barely any dialogue, fewer than 15 original episodes, and a simple premise built on physical comedy, he conquered the world. Whether he's falling from the sky in a beam of light, wreaking havoc in a restaurant, or simply trying and failing to park his Mini Cooper, Mr. Bean reminds us of something beautifully simple. You don't need words to make the world laugh.